Hello, and welcome to another episode of Downtown Dialogues. I am Addae Moon, the Associate Artistic Director at Theatrical Outfit, and today I have the wonderful Donal Noonan, who is the founder and executive director at the Homeward Choir. How's it going, man?
Hello, Addae. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. You know, we made it to the end of the year, man. So,
What even year is it?
yeah, to the year 2020-ish.
2020-ish. How many days are in 2020? Yeah, no, yeah. We made it. We made it. It's
We
December.
made it. Yes, it's December. So, tell us a little bit about your journey from Ireland to ATL.
Yeah, it's been a journey. Yeah, it's been a journey. So, well, I've been in the States for 20 years. And originally, so born and raised in just outside Dublin in Ireland in North County Kildare. And so my family were kind of split a little bit. My father's family were farmers, my mother's family were kind of townies. So, I always tell people I can milk a cow and mug you in the same breath, so don't trust me at all. And very much. And so I was always loved music, and that's what brought me to the States. I was directing choirs and working in churches in Ireland. And one day a guy walked up to me and said, "You're pretty good. Would you like to come work for me in Florida?" And my response was, "Where's Florida?"
Right.
And this is 20 years ago. And so I moved over to Florida in 2003 and was there for nearly 10 years. And my cousin, who is now lives here and actually runs the Basher homeless men's shelter downtown. It's a kind of a sordid, weird, circular thing which brought me here. He moved over to Atlanta to play rugby in Marietta, and he met a nice Georgia girl, and they got married. They were getting married, and they invited me up to do and sing and play for their wedding. And the pastor of the church offered me a job, and I said, Atlanta, yeah, okay, I'll come work in Atlanta. And so I was offered a job as director of music at the Catholic Shrine of the Immaculate Conception in downtown Atlanta. And that's how I've landed in downtown Atlanta, because my cousin met a girl and I sang for their wedding.
That's amazing. That's an amazing story.
Yeah. It's also the most Irish story that you'll ever hear in your life. My cousin met a girl, and that's
met a girl in Georgia,
and that's how I've been making trouble for myself for the past decade. Yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what was the impetus for founding the choir?
Well, thank you for staying on a nice time frame here, because I came to work at the Shrine in downtown. And so the Shrine was the very first Catholic church in North Georgia. Its original name was the Catholic Church, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
And it's the second oldest building in the city of Atlanta. So it's been there for a minute. Yeah, it's got a really old history, a really phenomenal history. Very ecumenical history and very culturally diverse history. So it's one of those hidden gems in downtown Atlanta. But anyway, I started working. I remember showing up to work on a Monday morning and just was really thrilled to be there. About 2 weeks later, I was, kind of finding my groove, and was taking. I was living in Canada Park at the time. Well, I'm Edgewood. And I took the train into work, and I was coming in a door that I normally don't come in off the Martin Luther King side. And I was very early, but there was somebody who was sleeping in the doorway. And this guy would not wake up. I was like, "Hey buddy, I gotta, sorry, can I get in the office door?" And he wouldn't wait. And not that he wouldn't wake up, he just wouldn't move. And so I was late and I needed to get in. And so I found myself stepping over a human being for the very first time in my life. I actually I'm 6'5", and so it was a very easy thing for me to do. Physically, emotionally, it kind of broke me. That I physically stepped over another person to get into my office. and that just didn't sit well with me at all. It kind of, being from Ireland, homelessness was not really something that I had to deal with. When I was in Florida, I was really privileged that I got to move to St. Pete Beach, Florida, which is like, I lived on an island in the Gulf of Mexico, even though, I grew up minutes from Dublin city centre, but, homelessness was never something that was on my radar until all of a sudden now I'm in downtown Atlanta, and I'm the music minister at the oldest Catholic church in the city, and I'm right there in the middle of it, sharing a hill with the state capitol and city hall. And the amount of homelessness, the sheer quantity of homelessness, and the presence of those people who were living in homeless situations just was now part of my everyday. And I needed to find a way of dealing with that myself, and how I was going to be okay with being a part of that every day. And so how I came about dealing with that was being a part of it and saying, okay, how can I be a part of this? Because it's going to be a part of me, so I want to be a part of it. And that's how the Homeward Choir was born. Because that's what I do. I make people sing. I make art. I make music. And so I opened the doors of the church and I said, hey, anyone want to join the choir? And people thought I was absolutely crazy. And I am. And so 10 years, believe it or not, 10 years later, we've been at we're celebrating our 10th anniversary this year. And it's been a roller coaster. It really, really has. And, people's lives have just been, I don't want to say changed, because I don't know if their lives have been changed or not, but I hope their lives have been made just a little bit better by stepping inside and opening their mouth and singing. And yeah, so that's how the Homeward Choir started. And it was just something really, really small. So you never know. Like, I was also running late. So I was running late and my life turned around because I was running late and had to step over a human being.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you talk about that because, Theatrical Outfit is also downtown. And a lot of unhoused people, sleep in our doorway. And so it is very common to have like a connection with people literally every morning that I come to work. Someone might be outside and, I'll ask them to move, and they usually move or have a conversation or whatever. And it's usually the same couple of folks. But yeah, unfortunately, the unhoused community is such a part of downtown. And Atlanta already has a housing crisis, and the challenges that people and the challenges that unhoused people have as well. On top of that,
it's a circular thing. The challenge is just like, and the more you look behind the curtain, the more you start scratching your head. Like, if one little thing gets out of place, the whole thing comes tumbling down. This is our first time meeting, which I'm super excited because I've heard about you, by the way. But I've been friends with Matt since he started working at Theatrical Outfit, because I'm friends with someone who's on your board, who's friends with somebody who's on my board. Right. Oh, yeah. Right. So Karen and Jay, and they introduced myself and Matt when he came to work in Atlanta, because obviously two Irish people need to meet each other. Right?
Need to know each other.
Absolutely. And we did. We met during COVID. The two of us met outside with masks on. Matt walked over to the shrine and we took a walk around Capitol Hill. And we absolutely hit it off because we were two creative Irish people, and so the two of us just didn't shut up for like an hour. And it was really, really great. And one of the questions that Matt said was, he made that observation. He's like, like, how do you even... I told him that story too. And I was like, he said, he didn't use the word, how do you deal? But I'm just going to use it in this situation. He said, how do you deal with that? I said, it's not a case of having to deal with this. I said, it's a case of, how do you put yourself into that situation, and how do you embrace it? And how do you, as opposed to you trying to fix it, is how do you become and welcome them into your world so that they can welcome you into their world? Right. And so that's how you form community, because no one needs to fix anyone else. The only person who can fix you is you. And but you know what we have to do is welcome people into community, and that is what I'm going to do for you. I'm not going to try and save you. I'm not going to try and do anything else for you, but I am going to definitely make sure that you know that you're welcome in my space. The end. And I'm going to do it over and over and over and over again until you're sick of me. And I'm going to make sure that you know that you have a place in my circle.
Right. And I'm so glad that you framed it within the context of community. So how, we're both artists, but how can the arts help to build a sense of community, especially for folks who are in the unhoused population in the city?
Well, the arts has been doing this for years. Like the arts has not ever been afraid of having a conversation.
Right.
The arts has never been. The arts has never shied away from having shied away of having a conversation about anything that's been really, really difficult. Like I remember being a 16-year-old closeted queer in Dublin, Ireland, sitting in a theater watching Jonathan Larson's Rent, seeing gays for the first time, going, oh my God, and like going, maybe it is okay for me to be gay. But, that's what the arts does. And so what can the arts do for the unhoused community is to show what people in the unhoused situation can do. And that is that they can sing a song, something really small and basic, but it's showing that people can enter into community, they can show up for something, that they do have talents, they do have gifts, they do have the ability to be a part of society, community, and that they are not invisible, and that they are worth so much more than what they're going through right now, and that they're a living testament that we're all just a little bit away from being in that situation themselves, unless we have, I don't know, a very big support system behind us, which I know I definitely don't. Right. And so what can the arts do for that? That's like the art needs to just continue the conversation. And that's what the arts does, like even the work that you guys have been doing in having these conversations that are completely, do you get that I get passionate about things? You pick it up. I need to sometimes shut up about things. But I went out to see your show that you had, Lady Emerson.
Oh yeah. Lady Emerson's Bar and Grill.
Emerson Grill.
Lady Day at Emerson's Bar and Grill.
Lady Day at Emerson's Bar and Grill. Are you kidding me?
Right.
The arts just needs to continue doing what the arts does. Just being able to take the life of someone and just say, on a superficial level, you were looking at a lady who was standing on a stage singing beautiful songs. And then you just in 1 second flipped and saw the struggles that a Black woman in America was going through because she was a Black woman in America.
Right.
Yeah. And as a white man in America now going, what?
Right.
And I remember myself and my partner, we went out and we sat in the car for a second, and we just sat in the car for a second afterwards going, nothing, just going, all right, let's go home. Mission accomplished. Well done, Tio. You know what I mean? And that's what we do. I can't even remember what your question was, but I think what we do in the arts is have the difficult conversations, but we do the difficult conversations in the most creative of ways, because we are able to show what people can be at their best and at their worst.
Yeah.
But we can show that no matter where you are on that spectrum, that you're worth a lot.
Definitely.
And that's what I think that, especially in downtown Atlanta, that, people, humanity, community, people might be invisible 1 second, and then the next second, they're the ones who are celebrated. We need to be the ones to celebrate them and across the spectrum.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
What's been your most, I guess, transformative moment so far, the choir?
Oh God, there's been so many, the I believe it or not, internally, I think I'm an introvert. Go figure. I love going home and closing the door and being, nothing. So when the Homeward choir started getting notoriety, and news stories started happening, it really made me uncomfortable. Because I didn't know how to tell their story. I didn't know if it was my place to tell other people's stories. And so all I could do was tell my story within that world. And within that, one of the guys who was singing in the choir, the early choir, his mother, who was living in a whole different part of the country, found him because of a news story.
Wow.
And she called my phone. She got my number. I don't know how she got my number. She found my phone. My dog just came to visit and he's down here. I'm like petting him. She called me and she said, would you ask him to call home? And I next rehearsal said, hey, I got an interesting phone call. And it was your mother, and she would like for you to phone home. And I said, here's my phone. You can use it if you want to. And if you don't want to use it, you don't have to. And he used it, and we put him on a bus and sent him home 2 days later. That was one. That's just one story. Just another one, 10 years later, just 2 weeks ago, we were singing a song, and I can't remember. And I'm so lucky that I have a team of people who now, there's a tail, did you see that? I'm lucky that I have a team of people who work with me. It's not just me doing this, like that people who, I'm sitting at the piano, I'm leading song, and we're just singing. And a woman walked into the room off the street and she started crying. And I didn't see any of this happening. This is all was told to me. From my perspective, we're just sitting singing a song. And she started crying, and someone said, are you okay? And she said, my grandmother used to sing this song, and I remember that was the last time that I was happy.
Wow. Oh, wow. Yeah.
And this woman was not a young woman.
Right.
So that involved me doing math.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the math situation was what did it for me. That this woman has journeyed that long without being happy.
And you and the choir had a chance to make her happy in that moment.
Because she caught my eye because she was into it. She was at one point, I could see her head going, and I could see that she had tears in her eyes, and I was like, oh, okay, but somebody on the team was able to talk to her, was able to like visit with her and talk with her and say, well, we're glad that you're here and we're glad that you're singing. And that's what we do. All we do is take people in the door, sing, and say, hey, we'll see you next time. There's no let me come in and save you. There's none of that. It's just come in, have a window of time where you're part of something. That's the arts, because there's that's the arts for everybody, and that's why it's so important, for kids and people, and even those awkward teenagers who are in high school, who are just, oh my God, just no friends of themselves. They just make their own lives so awkward. Because I say that with full authority, because that was me. There is a place for everyone in the world of the arts, and that's why it's vital that the arts continues to be the ones who have a voice in social awareness, because the arts just has a place for everyone on the spectrum.
Without a doubt. So how can the people listening be of assistance to the work that you're doing with the Homeward choir? How can we help? What you need?
I mean there's any $1 million endowments out there, like we
Yeah.
could do with stuff. We could start choirs in well, you know, that's true if there is, obviously. Well, you know, it's financially, of course, you could always support the Homeward Choir. The Homeward Choir has our mission is twofold, right? The first one is to empower the homeless, those living in homelessness, with music and the arts. Mm-hmm. The second is to call the housed to meaningful action. And the word meaningful has been put into our mission statement in the past few years, because calling people to action is very different than calling people to meaningful action. Meaningful action is different than action, because action is handing someone something versus meaningful is helping someone do something for themselves. Right. And so, like, when I say meaningful action, I mean, when you're having a conversation with your legislative branch or with your legislators and you say, you know, oh, I want to talk about taxes and I want to talk about this. How about you bring up the subject of homelessness? Right. Or exactly. How about you have conversations with your neighbors about it being an issue in the world? That's meaningful action. You know, at Thanksgiving, we all want to be part of something giving back, right? And with Christmas. And so there's 365 days in the year. Right. Not just 2. So maybe talk to your family about being involved throughout the year. And so that's meaningful action. So that is one part. Being a part, come down and volunteer with the Homeward Choir. Like what we do, we have now our community choir every Friday morning, right? Which might not work with a lot of people's schedules, but it works with some people's schedule. Maybe once a month, maybe once every 6 months, maybe once a quarter. There's a lot of organizations who give you like volunteer days. You can contact me, Donal at AtlantaHomewardChoir.org. I will hook you up, right? You can come down. What we do on Friday morning is the folks at the shrine, they come to the morning sandwich ministry. They get breakfast, they get a hot cup of coffee, they get food, and then they come inside, they eat it for 20 minutes, and then we sing for 20 minutes, and then they go about their day. That's the whole structure, the whole program. We need people to help pass out food every Friday morning. So come on down and do that. Everyone can do that. And then stay and sing, because everyone can do that too. That's what we do. Like, nothing is hard. I'm not that smart. You know what I mean? It doesn't take a genius to do what I do, you know. So you can be a part of anything. That's what we need. So if you can help out financially, we will take it. If you can help out with your time, we need you. If you can help out with legislative, right? You can help out talking to elected officials, your neighbor, just be involved, realizing that there is a problem with this in our city, in our country, that we need to fix this, and we need to fix it soon, because it's not nice to sleep outside. It's not nice at all.
Donal, thank you so much for this conversation. Thank you for the amazing work.
Thanks for having me. You guys, thank you for your amazing work. Thank you for doing what you're doing. I am just so honored to even just be able to have a conversation with you guys, because what you do at TO, I'm just rock on. You're just amazing.
You know, you're the kind of neighbors that we want more of. So
I love the fact that we're neighbors. I love that we're neighbors. Let's get into lots of trouble together. I keep saying that.
Exactly.
Let's get into trouble.
Let's cause some good trouble. Definitely.
Where have I heard that before?
John Lewis, perhaps?
Oh, I don't know. Role model. You know, the first time I met Matt, that day that we took a walk around the Capitol Hill, was John Lewis was coming home to Atlanta that day. His funeral came. And he was at the Lion State at the state capitol, and his funeral cortege was coming by us, and we went out to look at it. That was the day I did Theatrical Outfit for the first time.
That is definitely divine.
And we knew, and that's when we knew that we needed to make some good trouble. And here we are years later, and I'm okay with it.
Definitely. Man, so great to finally meet you.
And you too. Thanks for meeting for everything, okay?
All right. Take care, brother.
Take care.